Hi, everybody. Craig Shacklett from URComped here with Meet the Influencer. We've got a very special guest today, Tim from TheBigPayback. Tim, thanks for being here.
Oh, well, thanks so much for having me, Craig. It's a pleasure.
Well, why don't we start out with kind of your origin story? How did you get started as an influencer in the casino industry?
Yeah, it was completely an experiment. So my background is computer engineering, and my company develops advanced internet solutions. And we started really at the beginning of the whole internet revolution. And for over a decade, we were designing all these solutions for all these companies. And when consulting is good, it's really good. But when it's not so good and you have some downtime, we always wanted to create our own property, right? Because we could do it for everybody else, and we have the capability. So I always thought, wouldn't it be cool to have the best land-based casino locator website? And I knew we could create it. But even if you have the best website in the world, if nobody comes to the website, it's useless. So I was thinking, okay, so I'm gonna, I love to play. I'm gonna post some videos on YouTube. I'm gonna drive traffic from YouTube to this website. And that was in 2014. And then, like a lot of these stories, how they all turned out is, the channel started growing. The website, what's the expression? Painter's house gets painted last. The website never got the love, right? Never got the love that it deserved. That it kind of became this work in progress. And then the channel started growing. And then this experiment, before you know it, I started getting, a couple hundred views and then 1,000 views. I remember the first day I got like 10,000 views, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And it was my first foray into social media. Being of a certain age, I've never did Facebook. I never did any of this. And then I'm like, wow, okay, this is cool. And then I just got the bug, and I just love growing the channel and all the people I've met. That's the other thing. Super surprising that I've just met so many nice people doing this. And it's just been this wild ride of connecting with game developers, connecting with, and these were like rock stars to me, right? Connecting with people from all around the world. Meeting, going live. Now I go live every week, and people connect from everywhere. And it's and it's become this really fun and just, engaging project that's just taken off.
Well, before we go further, we'll probably put this again at the end of the show, but how can people find you? What are your coordinates? What platforms are you on?
Yeah. So I'm on a variety of social media platforms, but the primary one is YouTube. So youtube.com/TheBigPayback. That is the main area to find me. And then Facebook @BigPaybackSlots.
Nice. So what type of content do you find most effective in engaging your audience? What would you say is kind of your niche, your specialty? What resonates with your audience?
No, it's a great question. I love to play. And a lot of people in my videos, they tell me this almost on a daily basis. Tim, we love your enthusiasm. We love, and it's because at heart, I am a player. I love to play. So the videos that I do, what I try and do is showcase a variety of games. And what I love to do is unlock all the secrets of the game. So showcasing new slots, what they have to offer, and just showing what makes them cool games. And we're at such an interesting time in the industry because you have all of these different manufacturers and all competing for floor space. And sometimes it's not clear what makes a game really cool. You as a player, we might go to a game and we might try it for a little bit, and then the game does what it does. If the slot doesn't know what it does, which is usually beat you, you may think, this really isn't for me, because a lot of times you don't understand it. So what I try and do is showcase, hey, what makes this game interesting, and showcase the features, a variety of bets. Sometimes I'll do low bets, I'll do higher bets, not to the level of the real high rollers out there. But yeah, just it's all about variety for me.
And so when you're educating people on these games, obviously you have to play it a little bit, or do you? I know you're really savvy about your channel and building relationships in the industry. Are you getting information from the manufacturers about like kind of the cool things with each game? Or yeah, why don't you talk through how you can learn about the game so then you can entertain and educate your audience?
I just, whenever I see a new game, I'm going to try it. I mean, from a video slot perspective, and really, a well-designed game will bring you in. A well-designed game, after playing it, will even educate you on what you need. So generally speaking, especially as I've played thousands of different games, I kind of know the lie. I don't know if some of them still get me a little bit, right? So yeah, I'll check the instructions. I'll play through the game, and then it becomes, fairly clear, what you need to do, and then it's a matter, of course, of doing it, which is its own challenge.
Do you have a favorite game right now that you're playing?
A favorite game, it's such a it's always that tough question, because depending on mood, that's the other thing. There are some times when, hey, you want to sit back and be entertained and try something fun, and then there are other times when you want to go for it all, go for a awesome jackpot. So I love so many different games out there, and I hate to be boring about it, but one game I play a lot on my channel is Huff and More Puff, which is it's a fun game. It's a game where I've won so many jackpots on it. Just a great game. Also, another one that comes to mind is Wonder 4 Boost Gold. The mathematics on the game are just it blows my mind to know, just thinking about how they created this game, which in the end is designed to take your money, but in the short term, the jackpots you can get on it are just crazy, and it's also playable. I mean, it's just it's a marvel of design.
Nice. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your audience, like what's the demographic breakdown, if you have any of that information? And then this kind of two separate questions, but how do you go about like building community and engagement with your followers?
Yeah. So my audience tends to skew a bit older, and it was really surprising to me. So usually about from 35 up, about 20% each decade, approximately. And what I guess really surprised me is that even the over 65 crowd, about 20% of my audience. And I've gotten people, come up to me in the casino, they like recognize my voice, which is really odd, especially during the time of COVID. You have a mask on, it's like, hey, I know the voice, right?
Yeah.
And but I was out in California one time, and the sweetest lady came up to me, and she was in her 80s, and she's like, I watch you every day. I watch you every day, and I love it. And so yeah, variety of ages, tends to skew about 2/3 male, 1/3 female, and yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Now I gotta ask, like you talked about your origin story, you built it, and it sounded like it was just you had put a lot of consistent effort in, the channel just continued to grow. Did you have one, like a first like kind of breakthrough video? And I'll save my second question after. Was there one where you're like, oh my gosh, this one really took off? Do you remember what that video was?
I do, and looking back, like right now, there's almost a bit of a blueprint for people to come on the scene and start channels. And because all I have to do is like look at some of the current successful channels, and it's not as easy as just mimicking them. But back 10 years ago, nobody really knew what they were doing. It was completely new, and the space is certainly evolving now. But back then, we were all kind of flying blind, right? And but I remember distinctly. I was on a vacation, but I couldn't help but check, and there was a quick hit platinum video, and a guy before me had won, like, did the impossible, one of these 5-symbol progressives, like for 30,000, and I kind of started the video there, and it showed something that you never see on the screen, and then this one, it kind of took off, and I had a great session from there. But that was like one of the first videos that I remember really taking off. And of course, how could I forget? One of my very first slot videos was my largest jackpot ever in a slot machine, $33,175 on Zeus. And yeah, and that was one of the first ones that I remember thinking like, hey, maybe I should take some videos. And then I played, I had some free play. It was my third spin, and I got, I did the impossible. But the video, I didn't say anything during the video. I was completely mute. I was like, oh, I don't know if I should even be doing this with security and everything else, right? And my settings were wrong on the phone, so it's a little shaky here and there. And the video is like 1 minute long. So if I would have got that now, oh boy, it would be completely different type of video. So even the style from that one, that was one that took off also. So those two videos really come to mind. Yeah.
Now, follow-up question. When do you remember the first time that you were recognized on the casino floor? Because I imagine that's got to be like, whoa, like it's got to be a cool feeling.
Oh gosh, hard for me to remember yesterday at this point. But nowadays it is fairly frequent. But back in the day, well, here's the other thing, Craig. I only revealed my identity at every put on an influencer benefit. It was before COVID, and during the benefit, it was fun. I had like one of these masks, and I threw it off, and then it's like, hey, here's Tim. Because prior to that, as I mentioned before, none of us really knew what we were doing. And for me, from my perspective, it was always about let's focus in on the game, and like I just don't want to get in the way, right? And now it's evolved into people want to see. They not only want to see the games, but hey, they want to see Tim play the games. They want to see Brian or Dan play the games, and what we bring to the play with our personalities. But back then, so yeah, I was completely nobody. I was never showed my face. Nobody knew anything about me for the first probably I don't know 4 or 5 years. So it was only subsequent to that people started recognizing me.
Wow. Now, how do you think the role of influencers in the casino industry will evolve over the next few years?
It's a really interesting question, and I'm not sure if anybody knows. It's things are changing so quick. Casinos have so many. They now have different social strategies. App strategies. It's really wild. I feel like it's Wild West out there. That being said, what you do see happening is like certain influencers becoming like ambassadors to specific properties. Like one that comes to mind is Vegas Low Roller for Rampart Casino out in Vegas. So, Rampart is partnered with him, and you go to their website and you see, hey, this is, VLR approved. And he hosts slot tournaments there and does other events. And I think that's awesome because of the reach he has. And then when people, millions of people watch him every month. So they're like, okay, when I go out to Vegas, I want to check out where Dan plays, at Rampart. And of course it makes sense. So, having influencers be ambassadors to the property, whether it's a real like formal relationship like that, or something a little less formal, like, hey, like yours truly being at a particular property monthly. Like, let's have a get together, bring people in. Regional casino bases, that you have competing properties, and of course, an example. So I'll back up a bit. So my wife and I, we love to travel. So the deal that we have is we go to a new city, and my wife gets to pick the vegan restaurant, and I get to pick the casinos, right? So it works out great. But as a player, if I'm going to a new city, of course I'm going to see, hey, what casinos are there? And then the choice is, well, do I go to casino A, B, or C? And when you think about like what can influencers bring, so let's take that example. Now let's take a real world example. I'd never been out to Reno, with the exception of one time this year, and I knew very little about the town. But I did know that Diana Avani always would play at Atlantis. So I'm like, okay, so Diana goes to Atlantis. So you know what? I didn't have a lot of time. I was going there for a conference. I didn't have a lot of time to visit a lot of different places, but I did stop at Atlantis. And being able to, especially, you know, in smaller, especially, you know, smaller locations, hammering home, hey, you know, Tim is playing, you know, here, you know, always at the same location when you travel to a particular city, then you know what, maybe I'm going to stop there versus the competition. So I don't know, you know, to me it's a natural, and I know it works because I know even at my local Jack Thistledown Racino, and I just mentioned Jack right now, you know, so, you know, just bringing awareness. People have traveled to meet up, traveled for group events, and the name is out there, you know, when it never was. And of course, you know, the pushback is always like, well, you know, that's regional, you know, your crowd, you're getting people in California, like, what do they have to do with Cleveland? Well, you know, people, like, once again, people travel, and how many, you know, and especially when you're talking about the cost, you know, which is negligible, and sometimes it's negative. I mean, like, you're getting so much benefit for, you know, it's such a bang for the buck.
I couldn't agree more. I remember having a friend. I used to live in Lake Tahoe, and a friend that worked in PR out there, and they got The Bachelor to come and film an episode or two in Lake Tahoe. And they spent tons of money to ABC and the Bachelor franchise to get them there because people would watch it like, oh, Lake Tahoe is beautiful, I want to go there. Right. So, and this is, you're explaining the exact same things. You have an audience, influencers have audiences that are watching, they like to play slots, like, wow, that property looks nice, and they'll want to go there. Or like you said, in a competitive place like at Reno, there's, you know, 4 high quality casinos out there, and they're probably going to go to the one they're most comfortable with that they saw on your channel.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's like a no-brainer in so many situations. One of the challenges I think lately is, I mean, in gaming, certainly my impression is everybody's been doing really, really well over the past, you know, couple years. And when everything is going well, sometimes, you know, why put in the extra effort? Well, you know how it goes. There's cycles and everything, even in gaming. And, you know, to be complacent, I've never thought was a good business strategy.
That leads in well to the next question. What advice would you give to casinos looking to leverage influencer marketing more effectively?
Yeah, that's a really good question. A number of things. The first thing is open your doors. Open your doors. Everybody has a website. Why not put your policy right on the website? Why not say, hey, influencers, you're welcome. You are welcome here. So what does that do? I mean, it costs nothing. You will get, you know, we are good customers. I mean, we play a lot. And some of us play very, very high stakes, right? So immediately you're getting good customers because not all places welcome us. We're still at that point. I mean, the trend is up, but not all places welcome us. So to put out the welcome mat and say, hey, you know, you're welcome to play here, but hey, you know, here are our guidelines. And that way we know it's a safe place for us to go. To get great content, we're comfortable, you get good customers, everybody is on the same page. You know, that's the first one. That's the first thing, and it costs you nothing. You know, that's not even you know, there isn't anything beyond just saying, hey, you know, we're a great place for you to be. And casinos that have done that in the past, I know, like Cosmopolitan, when it was a separate entity, and I know it's been acquired by MGM, and things have evolved there, but certainly a couple of years ago, all streamers knew Cosmo was the place to go, and you saw people just, you know, descend upon it, millions upon millions upon millions of views, and everybody, you know, knew about Cosmo. And guess what? I stayed at Cosmo, and now Resorts World, I think, is picking up you know, that baton and saying, hey, you know, come on, guys, you know, we are here, and that's great. The second thing is, we are interested in content. that is, this is one of the messages that I really try and, put out there. Like as, as an influencer, we're not interested in taking money from your casino. What we're interested in is creating great content. So when we're talking about like some, and of course there are the top tier influencers and they command, maybe big deals, but most of us, hey, it comes down to creating content. And what that means is like, we can promote you. Free play helps us promote you and create great content. And then at the end of the day, many times we're spending beyond, what we've been given. So you get casinos can get promotion, we get content, and then you might even get, money. Casinos may get money on top of that, and everybody's happy, right? I mean, what other industry is there essentially an exchange of service or where the promoter is paying money? I mean, to do the promotion. It's crazy.
You can't do this, because I think a lot of casinos have seen the upside. You mentioned Cosmo and Kevin Sweet. I know he was like out in front. He was ran slots over there, and I think he moved the industry forward in a lot of ways. But then you hear stories about influencers just doing something stupid, like boneheaded stuff that puts a bad name, puts a little tarnish on the influencer. So what would you say are some things that casinos should get out in front? Like, this is not allowed, to help kind of get in front of potential bad behavior?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'm sometimes right or wrong in my bubble over here. What many people don't realize is that this is super time consuming. I mean, you're going here, you're doing videos, you're doing editing. It's a super time consuming, especially now with all the competition out there. And I always approach all of my videos and streams from a non-drama, positive perspective. For me, it's all about making the property look good, making the games look good. When people come to my streams, there's enough craziness in the world right now. People need breaks, and breaks are healthy. I mean, people need time to just watch some videos, enjoy themselves, and relax. I mean, I've had people say, Tim, I was laid up in the hospital, and your videos helped me, get me through it. I was on chemo. Your videos helped get me through it. I mean, some heavy stuff. And so it's always been about positivity for me. That being said, I mean, there are a lot of different personalities out there. And even though many of us kind of do the same thing, bringing those different personalities, some are a little more, I'll say, edgy than others, right? Edgier than myself, and may not be who you would want to represent your brand. Absolutely. So when you're talking about guidelines, the first thing I would say is you want influencers to respect the privacy of others. So when we're doing videos, we're doing them on machines. We're not directly getting into the space of other people. So respecting the privacy of others, is of course a no-brainer. If I was a director, I'd have to think about this, but basic stuff. Don't disparage the property. I mean, and it can go from there. I know I certainly don't use profanity on any of my videos or streams. So considering different rules like that, but it is an adult subject too. But certainly privacy, certainly, hey, we're here about to present a positive light. Yeah, there are always going to be some bad apples out there. But let's not solve a problem that requires a hammer with a sledgehammer, right? And just throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Nice. Well, this was super informative. I really enjoyed it, Tim. Once again, why don't you give everyone your coordinates, both for URCompt fans that may be watching this and want to check out your channel, but then also if somebody, a casino executive, is watching this. Actually, let me ask one more question.
Yeah, sure.
If a casino does watch this and they say, hey, I want to bring the big payback out, what do they have to look forward to? What's it? Yeah. How does that look if they want to bring you out for an event or something?
Yeah, great question. I'm very flexible. I believe in flexibility, and reach out to me, and depending on what you're trying to accomplish, I'll work with you. And you know what? It can be requires so little time on the executives, from the executive standpoint. It's I will even make my own way for travel, and it's just really about, hey, forming those relationships. What I believe in are long-term relationships with people that I work with, and just coming up with a plan, building your brand, bringing that awareness, and but making it easy. I mean, all of this, it doesn't need to be complex. It doesn't need to be complex at all. What it really needs is just, hey, Tim, let's have you out at our location, and then I'll take it from there. I'll set up, hey, let's do like a meet and greet, and I'll push that information out, and we'll have people show up and come to your property. I mean, it's not something that has to be, require a lot of time and attention on the property standpoint. So, and people can reach out to me anytime. My website, TheBigPayback.com, there's a contact form there. Send me an email, tim@TheBigPayback.com. And on, contact information, my phone is also on the website. Or contact me through the channel. All different ways to reach out.
Wonderful. And then once again, for the URComped fans who want to follow you, watch some of your great content, where should they find you?
Oh yeah, thank you so much. So youtube.com/TheBigPayback. Love to have everybody from URComped come join the fun. And I do go live every Tuesdays, 5:15 p.m. Eastern, and on Facebook and other socials @BigPaybackSlots.
Tim from The Big Payback, thank you so much. This was so enjoyable, so informative, and let's do it again in the future.
Absolutely, Craig. Thanks so much for having me.